Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Katie, and if I look a bit awkward, it's because I am, because I'm not used to doing face-to-face videos. But I thought I would do a little bit of a different video today because my art space has been completely taken over. I had a bit of a kind of angry day yesterday, so I've been doing a load of paint pouring, and because my art space isn't very big, there's stuff that is going to take like a billion years to dry, so I can't really use the desk at the moment. But what I wanted to do was actually talk about a few creative things that helped me on my journey to get away from a abusive situation. So if this is the first video that you've come across of mine, hello. I at the sort of tail end of last year, like over Christmas, was when everything kind of really kicked off. And at the beginning of this year, I made the decision to leave a 15-year-long narcissistic abusive relationship, which, as you can imagine, was very, very hard. But there were some things that I did at the start of last year that I found really helped in getting me into that headspace and kind of getting me out of the sort of land of confusion, as I like to call it, that a narcissist will put you in. And I thought a good way, as I'm going through like this it's a very raw, like rough period of healing and confronting a lot of stuff, and I thought the best way to try and help get me through that was by sharing my experience, because unfortunately my experience happens an awful lot, and it doesn't just happen to women, it also happens to men. And if you are a man that is on the receiving end of a narcissist, I just want you to know that this is also a safe space for you if you want to share your experience down below. There are a couple of you that have shared your experiences with me, which I'm very appreciative of, and I'm glad that you see this space as a trusting and safe space, because that is partly why I started this YouTube channel in the first place. So the first thing I want to talk about is a book that has been around for, I think it's been around since like the early 90s. It's kind of like a self-help book, but it's a bit more than that. It's more of like a self-guided course. And that book is, if you're a creative person or a journal keeper, you've probably already heard of this book already, but it's The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. This book really helped open my eyes to a lot of stuff that was going on. Because when you are in that land of confusion, sometimes you have people around you that perhaps want to say things to you, but they don't, because they don't want you to fall out with them over it, or they don't know how to approach you about it because they don't want to say something and then push you closer to the person that is abusing you. So sometimes you need just like a separate third party thing, and this book I found was very much that. It's kind of geared up towards creative people finding their way back into creativity, which is also another reason why I picked it up, because I've always been a very arty crafty person, and over the last 3 years, because of the situation that I was in, that was gradually being chipped away also, and I felt that that was being taken away from me, and it's such a big part of who I am. It always has been since I was a child, and it was kind of like a little act of rebellion for me to even start being creative again and making art again. And I felt like I needed a bit of a helping hand with that. And in doing that, there's a lot of exercises in this book that don't just help you get more confident creatively, but also more confident in your life, and sort of really delve into, like, who are the people in your life that are encouraging you? Who are the people on a daily basis that, like, have got your back, and who are the ones that don't? And sometimes it's surprising who is on each side of that camp. It's not always who you expect. And there's 2 particular exercises within this book that Julia Cameron discusses. One of which is something called morning pages, which is basically writing, it's in the book, it's 3 pages of A4, which is quite a lot. It's quite a lot if you're not used to writing a lot. Yeah, so it's 3. I just took it as like 3 pages of whatever size notebook I was using. I just used like a cheapy composition, like, exercise book from the pound shop, and a biro. That was it to begin with. And then as things went on, I started making it a bit more like colourful and arty. But it's basically just stream of consciousness writing. So until you finish those 3 pages. So if all you can think to write is like a swear word over and over again, you just do that for 3 pages. Or if you get to a point and you think, I don't know what to write anymore, you just keep writing, I don't know what to write anymore, until something else comes. And through doing that, things start popping up. And you there is a point as well within the course where you go back and you read what you've written. And yeah, it's a very important exercise that even if you don't want to do the whole course, because I mean, this is a chunky monkey book, and it can be a bit intimidating perhaps if maybe you've never been an art and crafty person, or when you are so deep in an abusive situation. Sometimes, like, even just reading, you can't concentrate on what you're reading. Like, you'll keep rereading the same line over and over again. So sometimes just doing the exercise without reading everything is maybe a bit better. But so that really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff and started clearing, like, the fog, essentially. And you start seeing things with fresh eyes. Sorry if I'm twiddling about a lot on the chair. I'm really not used to doing face-to-face videos. It's uncomfortable for me. It is uncomfortable. But it's something that I want to get better at doing. And you only get better at doing something the more you do it. So the second exercise that I also found to be very important within the Artist Way is something called artist dates, where it's basically you go, it hasn't got to be anything fancy. It can literally be, I'm going to go and buy a notebook and a pen so I can actually do the morning pages. It can be something as simple as that, but just something that you do on your own that involves a creative pursuit. And gradually, as that goes on, that time that you spend on your own doing something creative is encouraged within the course to get longer and longer. And that is what leads me on to my next thing that was very important, which is getting back into using a sketchbook / art journal / whatever you want to call it again. So this was just a really cheap dot grid notebook that I started towards the beginning. Well, this has actually got 2024 in it. So I'd started doing a written journal at the beginning of 2024 and then stopped because I felt like I couldn't even do that anymore. Yeah, I got to March 2024 and then that stopped. Interesting. So yeah, it's just a cheapy, like, dot grid notebook that I decided to art journal in because I don't like leaving my notebooks and stuff like half used on the shelf. I want to use all the stuff. And I'd come across a video by an artist called Danny Gregory, who I've mentioned before on the channel. And it was a video where he was discussing how in a period of his life, when his wife was really, really ill, and he couldn't, like he was struggling to cope with that and just to find like a moment of calm. And what he did during that was to get a sketchbook and just sketch whatever was in front of him. So if he was having a cup of tea, he'd sketch his teacup. If he was in the bathroom, he'd sketch the medicine cabinet. And that was what I started doing. So this was the very first page that I did, just in biro. And then as time went on, I started sketching different objects and getting my watercolours out again. And then that led into acrylic paint. And then that led into collage and, you know, my artwork telling me stuff that I should have listened to bloody sooner. Oh look, especially this page. Oh my word. That says it all. This page here. Oh no, well this page and also this page. So I'm doing things like back to front, but this page, the quote on there, I don't know if you can see it because of the light, but it says, "I am more of a man than you will ever be." Yeah. I do have a full flip through of this art journal. It was the very first video that I made when I decided to be brave and do a YouTube channel again. So if you want to see that, I will link that in the description box. But basically, what I wanted to just get across is that even if you haven't been an arty person before, putting your feelings down on paper in whatever way you choose to do that, and with whatever medium, like literally you saw that first sketch, you can just have like a biro and the notebook. You don't have to have loads of fancy stuff. But the more you do it and the more confident you get with doing it, it spreads out into other areas of your life, and that's what I found. So that for me is why art is so important, and that's something that I really want to get across, is that if you are in an abusive situation, there are always things that you can do that will help. I was very lucky that I was able to be in a position where I could leave the person with not too much like dragging out of time, even though they did try and do that to the best of their ability. But I just want you to know that even in the darkest of times, there is always a choice to move on to better things, essentially. So that is kind of all I wanted to talk about today. I know that's been a bit waffly. I hope that my point comes across. So yeah, that's kind of it for my waffling. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. I am trying to do one video a week. Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't, because I am very much still struggling with my energy levels at the moment. Sometimes I have so much energy that I don't know what to do with it, and then other times all my body wants to do is rest because I haven't been allowed to rest for years. But also I'm not very good at letting myself rest, because I'm not the sort of person that wants to be in bed all day. But then sometimes it's it's always a war between your brain and your body, isn't it? It's just one of those things. So, yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my channel. If any of what I mentioned helped you, please let me know, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.